Honorable Union Minister Dr. Dharmendra Pradhan, Honorable Union Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh, President of Tibet, Excellency Lobsang Sangey, Trustees of the Vow Foundation, Mr. Shiv Kunal Verma, Mr. Lakshmi Shankar Bajpai, Mrs. Rashmi Chopra, also Mr. Robin Gupta, who is not with us at the moment, but he sent us his best wishes and greetings. Dr. Rajendra Tuval, our vow advisors who are with us at Savoy today, Jyoti Dhawan, Abhay Mishra, Mr. Kaya, Vineet Agarwal, and friends who joined me from across the world. It's a very pleasant morning here in Mussoorie, and I welcome you all to this 4th edition of Vow. Now, this 4th edition of Vow is indeed unique because it is quite different from the earlier editions. It's different, and yet it's in many ways it's a continuation of what we were doing earlier, except that now we do not have the limitations of space and the limitations of time. We can invite anyone from across the world, and we are overwhelmed with the response. 3 to 4 months ago, when we at Vow were really considering on how to go about this program, whether we should have it at all or not, that was the time when Mr. Dharmendra Pradhan said that, you have to transcend the limitations of space and time. That how does it matter if you cannot get people to your valley, take your valley to the world. And that's going to be the new theme that we would like to explore over the next 3 days. And with all your support and all your cooperation, we've been overwhelmed with the number of responses. The number of registrations this year has exceeded our registration in the last 3 or 4 editions. We've already touched about 40,000 registrations as individuals, and I'm not counting the 128 odd institutions which were registered with us till last evening at 5 p.m. and many more are joining. So we do hope to touch over 100,000 visitors this time, and it would not have been possible to do this in the physical space. In fact, no physical space is going to let 100,000 people come together for a virtual festival, but thanks to technology, thanks to imagination, and thanks to the drive which my volunteers have put in, we are now at this trajectory where we're actually taking a leap forward. And I would also like to thank Viscraft, especially the CEO, Mr. Sabas Joseph, and his team at Dehradun, led by Avnish Gadgil, who've done tremendous work in stitching this all together. It's a rather long inaugural welcome address because I thought I should cover a lot of the points which you want to know before you actually get yourself immersed in this experience. So let me take slightly longer than a normal welcome address to also share with you that Vow 2020 is not just a vision, it's also a celebration of that vision. And we have tried to create for you a platform which is both immersive and interactive, and a first of its kind literary experiment perhaps anywhere, because we are getting authors, we're getting poets, we're getting critics, we're getting discussants, we're getting live Q&A questions, we're getting this relayed in the auditoria, in the libraries, in the classrooms and at homes. And it's in many places, over in trains and at bus stations. So a lot of places have virtual video walls where your sessions are on display. And what we are doing here today is that we have in the Savoy, we try to recreate the Savoy and the Savoy experience, and we've created the Savoy State Room, the Writers' Bar, the Post Office, and also the virtual mall at Mussoorie, where you can have a little shopping expedition, or you can appreciate the exhibition on philately, which has been curated by Abhay Mishra, and you can look at some lovely photographs in the Red Rabbit photography stall, which exhibits the winners of the photography competition held this year in memory of late Captain Ranjiv Lal, a very brave and a daring helicopter pilot who lost his life last year in rescuing people during the disasters and during the floods in Uttarakhand last year. So friends, let me also run you through the sessions that we're going to be having. And as we typically have in every year, we have our 4 knowledge verticals, Hindi Sahitya, जिसमें हम हिंदी भाषा की सबसे परिचर्चित और सबसे बढ़िया किताबें उस साल की उनको हम नामित करते हैं और उनके ऊपर डिस्कशन करते हैं. हिंदी में जो भारतीय भाषाओं से ट्रांसलेशन हुई हैं उनको सेलिब्रेट करते हैं. जो यंग एडल्ट्स के लिए राइटिंग्स लिखी गई हैं हिंदी में उनके बारे में भी चर्चा होती है. और जो हिंदी में अच्छी कविता, अच्छी नॉवल वगैरह लिखी जाती है उसके ऊपर भी चर्चा होती है. वी आर ऑल्सो सेलिब्रेटिंग द बेस्ट ऑफ इंग्लिश फिक्शन एंड इंग्लिश नॉन फिक्शन एंड ट्रांसलेशंस फ्रॉम इंडियन लैंग्वेजेस to English, besides of course the knowledge vertical that we have under the Aristotelia Forum on Ecology and Environment and the military history and strategy sessions. Among the first this year we have a collaboration with the French Embassy in India. France is our partner country, and we are very privileged and delighted that we'll be joined tomorrow by His Excellency Lenain, who will be in conversation with Brigadier Sukhjit Singh, the grandson of His Highness Maharaja Jagatjit Singh of Kapurthala, who is a great Francophone. We are also celebrating the success of JCB authors, because JCB is one of the most coveted prizes for writings in India, and we are featuring not only the winner but also 3 other authors who will be in conversation with our speakers and with our curators. Friends, but it's not just literature, it's also fun, it's also games, it's also music, it's also a lot of exhibitions, it's a lot of creative energies that go into this festival. And therefore you have the Iti Kriti, you have the Iti Smriti, you have the Iti Lake, and you will have a lot of time in exploring all the lanes and the by-lanes, albeit virtually on this platform. Before I close, I think I need to also mention that this is the year in which we are having 4 national debates. The first of these is the Vow Mantrana debate, which we organize with the local DAV college, and over 4 rounds we've had 4 subjects to discuss, and finally we have 4 speakers who will be competing for the final debate. We have the Navodaya Vidyalaya and the Kendriya Vidyalaya national debate, again both in Hindi and English, in which the subject is classroom teaching has been replaced by online education, and what are the implications of this. और पहली बार इस बार महर्षि वाल्मीकि संस्कृत विश्वविद्यालय हरियाणा के साथ सहभागिता में हमने ऑल इंडिया संस्कृत डिबेट कॉम्पिटिशन्स, ऑल इंडिया संस्कृत वाद विवाद प्रतियोगिता को भी ऑर्गेनाइज किया है, जिसमें भारत की 17 संस्कृत यूनिवर्सिटीज़ ने पार्टिसिपेट किया. तो जो पूरा पर्पस है वाव का, वो एक इंटर जनरेशनल डायलॉग को प्रमोट करने का. वो इस बात को महत्व देता है कि हम कैसे मिल बैठ के वाद विवाद करें, अलग अलग विचारों को एक जगह बैठ के डिस्कस करें, और जो मतभेद है वो कभी मनभेद में ना बदल जाए. यही वाव का मेन उद्देश्य है, और इसी उद्देश्य को इम्प्लीमेंट करने के लिए हम सब ये जो कार्यक्रम है इसका आयोजन करते हैं. सो फ्रेंड्स, with these few words, let me welcome you all again to the 4th virtual online edition of the Valley of Words, and I'm delighted that we have with us today some very distinguished speakers who will be there in the inaugural session. We are of course beginning with some Tibetan chants from the Mendroling Monastery, followed immediately by a message from His Holiness the Dalai Lama, which is read out by the President of Tibet, Mr. Lobsang Sangey. And then of course we have our patron saint of Vow, somebody whom I would call the Bhishma Pitama of Vow, because He's the one person who's been standing with us consistently over the last 4 years with his very positive support. He was one of the persons who indeed told me that we should not get too worried with the pandemic, that we should be able to transcend the difficulties that the pandemic offers, and that we should emerge stronger, and that we should make use of this opportunity to showcase to the world that while the pandemic's challenge has to be taken seriously, we don't have to be cowed down under it. We don't have to be overwhelmed with it. And thank you very much, Dr. Pradhan, for your consistent support. I'm very grateful to His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. And with these few words, let me take you over virtually again to the Mindrolling Monastery in Dehradun, where the young monks are seeking the benediction and the blessings of Lord Buddha, and we also seek his blessings for this festival. Over to the Mindrolling Monastery in Dehradun. Thank you.
I would like to greet the participants of the literary festival organized by Valley of Votes Uttarakhand. First, I will read the message sent by His Holiness the Great 14th Dalai Lama of Tibet. And in the message he says, I quote, "I am pleased to send this message of greetings on the occasion of the 2020 edition of the Valley of Votes International Literature and Arts Festival being held in Dehradun. It is good to see that in your past programs, you have focused on different aspects of Indian life and culture. I'm sure that this year too, you will promote awareness of the rich cultural heritage of India. As a Buddhist, I have been privileged to benefit from India's ancient knowledge of ahimsa and karuna in a very deep and meaningful way. However, in today's India, not many of my Indian brothers and sisters have been taught to appreciate these treasures which have contributed so much to both India and the world. The rich and ancient Indian understanding of the workings of the mind and emotions is of great relevance today. So too are specific techniques developed in India for mental training, such as meditation. Therefore, it has been one of my commitments to revive awareness of the value of ancient Indian knowledge, especially among young Indians today. I believe that this ancient Indian wisdom can be taught in schools today, combined with modern education from a secular academic perspective. India is, in fact, especially well placed to cultivate this combination of ancient and modern knowledge so that a more integrated and ethically grounded way of being in the world can be promoted across the globe. I therefore hope that you will consider drawing attention to the treasure of ancient Indian knowledge in the coming festival and in subsequent festivals, as well as in your everyday activities. With my prayers and good wishes, signed by His Holiness the Great 14th Dalai Lama of Tibet. So as His Holiness put it so succinctly, that literature is important, ancient Indian knowledge is important, and it is very significant that organizing this festival in Uttarakhand, which borders with Tibet, and which is also very close to Mount Kailash and Lake Mansarovar, the holy places for Hindus and Buddhists and Perns and Jains too. So the proximity of Uttarakhand and Tibet makes it very significant that this festival is held in Dehradun in Uttarakhand. In ancient times, many Tibetans used to come from Tibet to Uttarakhand, and then from Uttarakhand they used to go to Bodh Gaya, Sarnath for pilgrimages, and after winter, during spring, Tibetans return back to Tibet with whatever business items or goods that they can buy from Tibet. So that way, Uttarakhand and Tibet was historically connected, geographically connected, spiritually connected. Even today, and many of the pilgrims who want to have a blessing of Mansarovar and Mount Kailash go through Uttarakhand into Tibet. So when Tibet was independent, there was no requirement for visas on the Tibetan soil, nor there were requirement of visas on the Indian soil. So the border was open and free flow of people went back and forth. It was a demilitarized zone. It was a peaceful border. Now, with the invasion, after the invasion, occupation of Tibet, now borders have been set up. Military from both sides are facing each other, and there is tension. Now, so that's why I am very appreciative of the literary festival in Uttarakhand. that had many programs on Tibet. Another significant aspect as to why literature is important is reflected in the history of Tibet and India. You know, nowadays when you talk about national heroes, often they are army generals, freedom fighters, even business people, But it's, Tibet is one of the rare nation where, scholars or the translators, we call them Lotsawas, were the national heroes. In 7th and 8th centuries, many Tibetans, who were kings and the ministers, rich people, funded or patronized scholars to travel all the way to India to learn Sanskrit and translate all the Buddhist texts into Tibetan. So one such great scholar was Thumisambota, who came to India in 633 and learned Sanskrit, learned the Sanskrit way of grammar, scriptures, and the whole literature, and went back to Tibet. And some call it invented, but rather dramatically improve the Tibetan scriptures and grammar. So as you say in Hindi, kaka kanga anga cha cha chanya. We say kaka kanga, we don't have anya. So our Tibetan scriptures is very similar to the Sanskrit or the Hindi scripture. So that's how we're connected. And more importantly, many Lotsawas came to India, learned Sanskrit, translated Buddhist texts into Tibetan, and took it back to Tibet. Now, there are many Buddhist countries around the world, but none, including China or Thailand or Burma, have more than 24 volumes of what Buddha said. But only in Tibetan language, we have 108 volumes of what Buddha said, and 220 plus of other scriptures, taught by the great scholars of Nalanda and the followers or the disciples of Buddha. So if you want to know what exactly Buddha said 2,500 years ago and his closest disciples said, it's only in Tibetan language. We have 300 plus volumes of Buddha's teaching and his disciples' teaching. So hence, literature is very, very important. So Tibet was one of those ancient nations which regarded scholars as national heroes. That's what we have managed to preserve our Buddhist civilization, our identity, our culture, and our religion. So after the invasion and occupation of Tibet, the Chinese government, especially the Communist Party, wanted to destroy, rather they destroyed 98% of the monasteries and nunneries. 99% monks and nuns were disrobed. But after 60 years, if you go back to Tibet, in private and social space, Tibetans have rebuilt our Nalanda tradition, Nalanda scriptures, Buddhist teachings is coming back in Tibet. Now, the Chinese government policy is to continue to destroy it, but nonetheless, Tibetan people are resisting and reviving the same ancient Nalanda civilization back in Tibet. Hence, literature is very, very important. Now, as His Holiness says, India is our guru and Tibetans are the chelas. At the moment, chelas have more resources, more knowledge, and more wisdom about Buddha's teaching and ancient Indian knowledge. So we have proven to be, as His Holiness says, a reliable chela. So it is His Holiness' vision to revive the same Nalanda tradition back in India. He says this is his, fourth commitment. He has 3 commitments for, 5 decades, and he added the 4th one, and he's determined to revive Nalanda tradition in India. And I hope through this festival, we all will be aware about the fact that Uttarakhand and Tibet had close relationship. Mansarovar and Mount Kailash are in Tibet and with the Tibetan people from 7th and 8th centuries have come to India, learn Sanskrit, translate all the Buddhist texts, and we have preserved it. So Tibetans are the reliable chela with the knowledge of ancient Indian tradition. So let us all work together to revive this back in India. That is His Holiness' vision. That is the wishes of Tibetan people. That is, India has been the greatest supporter of Tibet. Indian people has been the generous and hospitable host for the Tibetan people for the last 6 decades. And we want to give a gift, that is to revive Nalanda tradition back in India. With that, I want to thank the organizer of the festival and wish all the participants a great success and good time. Finally, let us not forget that we are having this online festival because of COVID-19 pandemic, which originated in China. It has caused a lot of damages. It has caused a lot of loss, including psychological, sociologically, and economically. And we should not forget that. But next time when we meet in person, we will celebrate the festival more joyously and make it more rich and work together to revive Nalanda tradition back in India. Thank you very much.
Namaskar. Eminent speakers, literators, organizers and my dear friends in attendance of the Valley of Words 2020 Literature Festival. I am most pleased to be delivering the inaugural address today. The organization through this event has been effectively connecting people through literature, art, music, photography and beyond. We are living in through challenging times. At the same time, the human species has shown tremendous resilience and persistence under all odds. From our healthcare professionals to policemen, farmers, grocery suppliers, LPG delivery boys, and the defense forces have worked relentlessly to keep us safe and ensure uninterrupted essential supplies. Speaking both from experience and observation, in these challenging times of COVID-19 pandemic, a silver lining has been rekindled interest in the arts, music, and literature among the general public, and especially the younger generation. The trump card of the humanity against the novel coronavirus turned out to be technology. While libraries were short, we had access to millions of e-books, online articles, and stories through OTT content. Video conferencing and webinar discussion have become the order of the day. To conduct business with the digital bridge, bringing the world closer to these unprecedented times. So it gives me pleasure to see the organizer, Valley of Words Foundation Trust, emerging the power of technology to bring a deeply involved experience. The Valley of Words 2020 has two enviable backdrops, the historic Sangey Hotel and the Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration, whose legacies are stories of modern India and much as it in the Masuris. Thanks to the vision and leadership behind India's Atmanirbhar Bharat, the nation is poised for a stronger than anticipated recovery. I am pleased to share with you all that our energy consumption has returned to normal. Green shoots are also being witnessed in the terms of strong automobile sales, rail freight tariff, manufacturing and service sector PMI, and healthy GST collections. RBI estimates a strong likelihood of Indian economy returning to positive growth soon. Prominent economists have suggested that the rebound is not only due to pent-up demand but also strong economic growth. All this has been made possible by a historic 29.87 lakhs crore support and stimulus package, which includes the Atmanirbhar Bharat package, PM Garib Kalyan package and PM Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana package, and RBI measures under the leadership of our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji. As 2020 comes to an end and we eagerly await the COVID-19 vaccine, it is important for us to support our industrial revival in the hard-hit sectors like travel and hotels. India's tourism industry, considered one of the largest and most dynamic in the world, has been one of the most affected from the pandemic. Dekho Apna Desh, a campaigning envisioned by Honorable Prime Minister, should be our motto. Our government has taken many steps over the years to promote development of India's tourism sector, creation of iconic sites of India, but the onus lies on each one of us to be vocal about local and explore and promote our beautiful country. While we are fighting the virus, we must also prepare ourselves for a post-COVID-19 world, prioritizing health, focus on collective growth, and move steadfastly towards the making a self-reliant India. Therefore, I hope that the four knowledge verticals of Valley of Words 2020, English Literature, Hindi Sahitya, RST Forum for Himalayan Ecology and Military History and Strategy will take on the responsibility to bring forth new ideas and thoughts for the India to emerge stronger and more prosperous in the times to come. Lastly, I am very pleased to launch the book Savai Saga of an Iconic by Ruskin Bond and Ganesh Sali, and would like to congratulate the entire team of Savai. I am sure that the Valley of Words 2020 will live up to its heritage of encouraging intergenerational dialogue, scale new heights, explore new passion, and most importantly, engage in the critical discourse and encourage excellence in others. I wish you the best discussion, deliberation, and participation. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dharmendra Pradhan, for an absolutely remarkable inaugural address. In fact, it is through such words of wisdom and through such forward-looking thoughts that the Valley of Words and so many other literature festivals, so many other social organizations in this country draw inspiration from you. Indeed, you've been leading the country in the energy sector, and therefore you get to understand the way all the sectors in this country are functioning, because at the base of it all you need energy and you also need steel. And in fact, it's very good that you're handling both energy, you're handling power, you're handling steel, and that's the strength also for the steel frame of the country. We always feel very happy and very confident that just as there was Sardar Patel, who was the patron saint for the civil servants, now we have a man in the steel ministry who really is strengthening the fabric, the foundation of this country through his work and through his commitment, and also through his very inspiring messages that he conveys to all of us. Thank you very much once again, Mr. Pradhan. We were indeed very glad to have the blessings of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and as President of Tibet said, that the Dalai Lama feels that Tibet is a great chela of India, of the great Guru India. I think it is the mark of a great man that he has used the term Guru Chela, whereas I think, given the fact that most of the teachings of Lord Buddha have been retained in Tibet, I don't know who's the Guru and who's the Chela, but I think it's a relationship of friendship, it's a relationship of trust. And we in Missouri are very fortunate that we have the footsteps of His Holiness the Dalai Lama here. As most of us may be aware, that in 1959, after leaving Tawang, the first place that His Holiness the Dalai Lama stayed for some time was Missouri, and that's why we have a very large Tibetan settlement here. And we are very glad that the Tibetan settlement here has been involved in the conduct of this festival and giving us all the support. So very grateful to President of Tibet and also to His Holiness the Dalai Lama. I take this opportunity to thank all the trustees of VOW, all the participants, and to Savoy Hotel, and to our technology partners, and last but not the least to our sponsors, because without the sponsorship, without the support of ONGC, without the support of PFC, who also give us the Wow Book Awards every year, without the support of NEFED, without the support of GAIL, and without the support of all the other organizations, Coal India, NHPC, UCOST, Tribes India, NEML, IFCO, and all the rest, we would not be able to run this festival, because while it is driven by a lot of volunteerism, by a lot of volunteer spirit, ultimately we do need support, and I'm so grateful to all my colleagues in the corporate world for having supported us. Also to the government of Uttarakhand for extending its support, to the Chief Minister of Uttarakhand, Mr. Trivendra Singh Rawat, for his message of support, to Governor Arif Mohammad Khan, who has recorded a session with us. This is therefore a celebration. It's a coming together of everyone. Thank you very much, and I look forward to your enjoying all the sessions after a very short break. Thank you very much.